Hey gang, John Bacarella here with your Lake St. Clair Fishing Report, brought to you by Sportsmen's Direct. It is Friday, April Fool's Day, and normally I know we shoot these on Thursday, so I could have done some kind of a joke about April Fool's Day, but I didn't do that. But anyways, it is Friday, April Fool's Day, and I guess April Fool's would be, hey, it's warm outside, because it is not warm outside, and it has not been warm outside. And the lake temps are still very cold. They're actually about 10 degrees colder right now than they were at the same time last year, if you can believe that. So it is, the water temp out there, Belle Isle was 39. I just checked it. I've seen it lower than that even this week. So we'll call the lake temps, you know, like upper 30s, lower 40s, which is pretty stinking cold for this time of the year still. But on the plus side, what that cold water is doing is it's really keeping these fish in tight and in the spawn mode, especially if you're a perch fisherman. If you're a perch fisherman out there, you've got to be pretty happy right now, because these big spawners are still not spawned out, and they are still all along the shoreline. Guys are still catching fish from the Selfridge boat access. The guys obviously out in boats are catching fish. They're catching them at off of the Harley Ensign boat launch down there, South River Road down there on the point. They're catching fish in Black Creek now that all the ice is gone in Metro. Actually, some of the guys that come into the shop regularly had a pretty good day out there today, catching some pretty nice fish. Nothing huge in Metro today, but a lot of you know, good quality eaters. So. But they are getting some really big fish off of Selfridge and off of Harley, and they're still catching fish in the spillway, although you do have to watch those special regs in the spillway. Anyways, there's a lot of perch being caught in and along the shoreline, so whether you're going to go out in a boat, a kayak, or fish from shore, as long as the weather is behaving itself, which it hasn't been, you can catch some good quality perch right now. Same thing with panfish in a lot of these canals, although there's not nearly as many guys chasing the gills and the sunnies, and they are a little more affected sometimes by these cold snaps, it seems like, than the perch are. But there's still a lot of panfish in the canals and marinas if you can still get into those areas right now. So enough about the perch and the panfish, and that's just gonna keep going, guys. So it's if you look at the weather forecast, it's supposed to stay relatively cold and clammy and damp and rainy for at least the next week. So even though that's bad for us from a comfort standpoint, it's definitely going to keep these fish in tight and still in this like spawn to pre-spawn stage. Now the walleye fishing, that is definitely picking up. However, same deal for the walleyes, right? The weather has just been horrid, and you know, hats off to these charter guys like Relentless Grind, Michael Downey, and Spencer Berman, and Jason Quintano and his guys with Fins and Grins Charters. These guys have been out in some of the worst possible weather as guides, and putting their customers on fish every day from everything that I've seen. So, and you know, a lot of guys have a dream of being a charter captain, but let me tell you, with the weather that we've had this year, these guys are really earning their money out there, because it has just been horrible. And think about it, for a lot of these guys, when they come in, their hands are frozen, and then they still got to clean fish, you know, and so it's like the day just doesn't end, right? You get off the water, you're frozen right down to the bone, and then you got to clean fish for the client. So my hat's off to you guys. It is a tough racket to be out there as a guide, especially this time of the year. But the fish are there, and there's been some really quality fish caught, although from I heard from the results from day one from the walleye tournament today that there were not a lot of fish caught today, probably because of that big monster blow we had yesterday. I guess, you know, that probably turned everything over pretty good and turned it into a mud fest. But you know, that's the way fishing is. I did take a ride down to Harley Ensign today, and just to verify that the boat docks are in for launching down there. So they are in at Harley. I think all the state launches now have got the docks in, with the exception of the Crocker Road boat launch. So guys, the Crocker Road boat launch is closed now for the rest of the season. They are going to get in there. They're going to start construction and renovations on that launch to turn it and go out the old Admiral Marine Canal. and they're going to close off that front that keeps getting full of sludge down there. So they had an option to possibly keep it open while they're doing the construction, but if they did that, they didn't think they could get it finished this season, and as it stands right now, they're hoping to have it open for the fall. So we'll see how that goes. I'll keep you posted on that as it's going on. But that Crocker Road boat launch, that one down there that all you bass guys love to use to get down to the Maros, that is closed for the rest of the season. So you're gonna have to launch either out of Metro or out of Harley or down at 9 Mile if that one stays open. So that's the status on that. So the ramps are all in other than that, so you guys know the drill on that. This time of the year, really watch out there on the lake for, we call them deadheads or wood. There's a lot of stuff that's going to come out, and with that extra rain that we got coming next week, it's going to wash more stuff out into the lake. But yeah, probably a lot of, with all these high winds, you're going to get damaged docks and things like that. So you're going to get a lot of wood and other debris out there in the lake. So if you're running hot out there and you don't see that stuff, you can easily damage the, punch a hole in your hull, or shear a prop, or you can do a lot of damage. So just be careful out there this time of the year. One other thing I wanted to mention about the walleye fishing down there. So there's been some patterns that have started to develop, and it's actually not just for the walleye, it's also for the perch in a way, and for other panfish. But with all this wind and rain and dirty water, you guys got to need to think shallow sometimes, okay? If you're a perch fisherman and you're always casting way out, try moving those lines in a little bit. If you're fishing on a seawall, if you're a panfish fisherman, fish straight down off that seawall and give it a shot. I think you will be surprised. These fish are not skittish when that water's dirty, so they will come in right up on the seawalls. For you walleye guys down there on the river, same drill, okay? Although this is not for the faint at heart. You really got to be good at controlling the boat. But you can get right up in there on these seawalls and either vertical jig them, or you can pitch and flip closer to these seawalls, especially in these areas where you've got shallow water, okay? 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 feet of water up along these seawalls a lot of times are going to hold some really big walleyes. And when you're doing that, sometimes you can change it up a little bit, pitching your jigs up there, especially like a hair jig or something that gets down pretty quick. And I've heard some of these guys are flipping blade baits up in there, and I haven't tried flipping blade baits up in the river, which seems to be counterintuitive from flipping those like hair jigs up there. But hey, if you can get a reaction strike out of those shallow water fish, and it sounds like that's working for some of the guys. So that's just a tidbit for the guys down there on the river, especially in these cold water conditions with fish up shallow in the dirty water. Now, when the water is clean, if you guys remember last year, we had the exact opposite conditions, right? We had super clean water in the spring, and those fish were deep. You couldn't get those fish up shallow because as soon as you pulled the boat up there, they all took back off and moved deep down the drop off, and that was happening. But with the water dirty, these fish are generally going to hold shallow. Over in that cow pasture area should be fantastic in those shallower areas with all that rock bottom for those fish to spawn. You can drift right over them. They're not going to see you. They're not going to spook. You can go over them numerous times, multiple boats. They're not going to spook if they can't see in that dirty water. But when the water gets clear like last year, it'll push those fish deep. So another thing this time of the year, with the water temperature staying cool, staying in that 40-degree range, staying below those mid-50s, you're also going to see these silverfish like steelhead. They're gonna stay much longer down in the Detroit River. It's not uncommon up on the St. Clair River to catch steelies and salmon and lake trout and other real cold water species. But down on the Detroit River, when we get these late springs, or I guess they're late winters, and that hang on really long, and late springs, then you're going to get these silverfish to hang out there longer. We're seeing a lot of guys that are getting a couple of steelhead per outing out there at this time of the year, and it's not uncommon to catch some small cohos and maybe even some browns out there this time of the year. I've seen it before where there's multiple fish on at one time, and you hook one of these silverfish on walleye tackle and they go taking off on you. It gets kind of crazy when you're trying to do a controlled drift in a crowd coming down the river. But hey, it's all fun. So it's all part of the experience out there. This time of the year, you just don't know what you're going to hook when you've got these cold water temps. So I think that's all I got for you right now. for this report. We got more tackle coming into the store every day. It's kind of crazy right now trying to get everything out. Get out there. It looks like we've got a couple of days of dry weather here for this weekend. So I don't know what the winds are going to do right now. They're starting to pick up a little bit, but hopefully they'll be low enough that you guys will be able to get out and enjoy it, whether you're chasing those perch or you're chasing those walleyes on the D. Get out there and have a go. Hey, if you like this video content and you want to get updated as soon as the next video is out there, hit that subscribe button and the little bell icon and you'll get notified as soon as the next video is up. The earth is round. April Fools. No, just kidding.